An American revolution in talk TV is here. NRA News, Cam and Company on Sportsman Channel.
Right now, let's side in on some of the big stories out there, including a big front page story in the New York Times on sheriffs around the country refusing to enforce laws on gun control. I talked earlier today on NRANews.com with the sheriff of Weld County, Colorado, and the guy who was one of the highlights of this New York Times story, Sheriff John Cook, about these sheriffs who say not just that they won't, but in a lot of cases they can't enforce these new laws. Take a look. I have to give kudos to the New York Times for actually, leading the story with a very uncomfortable fact for gun control advocates, that they've passed a law that's very difficult, if not impossible, for you to enforce.
Well, I know. I did read it online, and I actually thought it was a very fair and accurate report. And so, but that's part of the issue. And I was at the rally for one of the recalls of Senator John Morris, and I was asked to say a few words, and that's what I did. And I asked Governor Hickenlooper if he was there to point out which one was illegal, or Senator Morris which one was illegal. And of course, no, they weren't there, but if they were, they wouldn't be able to tell me which one was illegal, and nobody in the audience was able to tell me. So, I think it's when you present facts and logic to people, it makes sense.
Well, it certainly seems that way. As you say, you got the New York Times to write I think a factual story, one that wasn't too inundated with the anti-gun talking points. And the fact of the matter is, it does get back to what I guess I would describe as an uncomfortable truth for gun control advocates. It doesn't make you a bad person if you, support or propose ineffective policies. It just means that you propose something that's ineffective. What drives me a little batty, Sheriff, and it must bother you too, is that when you ignore what law enforcement is saying in order to pass these policies that really won't work and are ineffective and are hard to enforce. That's a little more problematic, because you and other sheriffs were warning against this as these new laws are being debated.
Right. Well, we were tried to warn against it, but the state legislators didn't want to hear what we had to say. They rigged it so that all 7 gun bills were held on the same day, and limited the amount of testimony that anybody was allowed to give. And they gave 90 minutes per bill per side, and so the problem was they didn't even want to hear. They had an agenda. They didn't care what the sheriffs or anybody else had to say, for that matter.
NRA News, Cam and Company, Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern on Sportsman Channel.